Hey good looking, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. I've got for you guys featured a Colourpop It's a Mood dupe palette. So in this video I'll be showing you guys how I came about to choosing some of the shadows. I think you'll find that interesting, and then also I'll put together for you this little tutorial and class will be dismissed. I'm Kendra Morgan Official, and I put out content weekly centered around single eyeshadows, makeup brushes that aren't Morphe, and sunscreen. So if you like that kind of content, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any. I put together a dupe of It's a Mood, and it's kind of my vibes, my take on it, but I used Colourpop shadows. Yeah, that's true. I used Colourpop shadows that are found in previously released palettes. This is pretty much the main star of the video, but this is how I got to bring out all the shadows. Okay, so we are back and we are picking out colors for our Duping the Vibes of the It's a Mood palette, and I've got my special little helper here today. So
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. Okay, so this is kind of like the browns. I want to make it look kind of similar to that. So then I'm gonna pick up. Oops, I don't have any way of picking up any of those shadows, do I?
No, you cannot.
There we go. So I want that purple. And then what other colors are in the It's a Mood palette? Oh yeah, that gold. There's some green. Yep. So I bet you that, yeah, that green.
I'll pick your favorite color.
Okay.
Then this one.
Yep, that one's in there too.
Mommy, I usually go on the sides first.
Okay, that's fine. All right, and then that looks like that's there. Can we get some lighter colors too? Maybe this olive green. I kind of want to see. Oops. Oh, that one. Okay, perfect. So this one is a little bit darker. Yeah, it's a little richer.
I want this one.
Okay.
And I also want this one. And, and then now I'm going to start. Oops. Is it okay if I do that?
Yeah, that's fine.
And this, like.
That's a lighter one. Yep.
And I like.
So we put those like right here, maybe, kind of. And the golds will all be together.
Okay, what's my name?
Welcome back to Duping the Vibes of the Colourpop It's a Mood palette. I'm going to use some palettes that I have in my Colourpop collection to see if I can try to kind of dupe the vibes with palettes that are already in my collection. I thought I would start with Colourpop palettes that I have. I'm going to have my helper here pick out shadows. We've got the palette up here. I'm going to have him pick out shadows that dupe the vibes, and then I'm going to write on the back of them what palette they come out of and what the shade name is. Go ahead, start with the first shade that you want.
Black.
Okay.
Black. I like every color.
So in ours, we're going to have a black shade. Okay, the next shade, Velveteen.
So this is the first one. This is the second one.
Okay. Oh yeah, and I was going to give them to you to rearrange in here. Sorry, go ahead and take out the next shadow that you think. And here's the palette for reference. Alright, and here's the next shade. You do, sweetheart? Okay, that's the next shade, and it is Prefix. Okay, so this is kind of taking care of the nudes. Yep, thank you. And there is a picture of the palette for you to look at. So pick out some oranges, purples, some teals, and some greens also. Oh yeah, Raw Beauty Kristi.
Yeah, I'll pick out this one too. This balloons.
Hi. Okay, and this is West Coast.
That one goes right here.
Okay. There you go. There are some pressed glitters, and we do have one pressed glitter, so I don't know if you want to include it or not, but it looks like that.
Okay, I'm gonna pick this one. A little tiny glitter here.
Social Club. So we'll have a pressed glitter in there. That's starting to look really on the neutral side. It's a little bit deeper, but it's really nice.
Benny, you do this one right now, and I'll do that one.
Do that, please.
Benny did it.
No, your foot is right next to my toenail. Okay, so I don't know how much of that I'm going to put in from the previous video, but my helper is back in school now, so we are Lone Rangering it, but I hope you enjoyed a couple moments of that, and this is actually a different day, so we're just going to revisit what my helper chose for picture, or for pans, and then I'm going to go from there. We are duping the vibes of the brand new It's a Mood palette by Colourpop, and I thought it'd be neat to use some of my Colourpop palettes that I already own and try to just curate a palette from that, because it's really easy to pick up almost any of these. Like this one is, that's a taupe, or that's so taupe, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Lust for Dusk and off Melrose. Those are really easy palettes to pick up and just use on a daily. But for me, this one is a little bit harder to pick up. This one, even the Child, is a little bit harder. So I got my coffee here. Everybody loves a good novelty cup. So yeah, we're drinking out of a pot here. It's already been a long day. And we haven't even started. I'm going to go ahead and grab. Got it up on screen. You guys see my gnarly floor. I'm not replacing this carpet until I'm done with makeup because I seem to spill makeup on it all the time. You guys can see it in the corner over here. And I actually like what my son has started. It's kind of dark and neutral and grungy and yet textured, because we've got this glitter coming from the off Melrose. I want to also make sure that in the neutral, we don't focus too much on neutrals. We focus more on the colors, because even though this is about a half and half, the colors is, I feel like, what really speaks to us. So I do know I want this purple. So I'm going to go ahead and start creating the purple row. Ooh, and this purple. Okay. And then also, I don't know if I want like a lavender type shadow. I think for that other one, I'm going to use this one right here. Okay. So that's sort of the purple row. I don't really have any purple shimmers. Oh, I have this one, and it is a duochrome, so I want to use it. It is Fairfax, which is the equivalent to Glass Bowl. I have Glass Bowl also, but this is the equivalent to it. And I have that in a video that I will link up there for you to go check out if you'd want. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get those labeled really quick off camera, and then we'll continue on. So the next row that I kind of want to get into is the teals. I'm going to go ahead and pull a couple of teals from this palette right here as soon as I find my Sharpie, and that is the High Tides palette. Oh my goodness, I've already lost my antenna magnet. No, I didn't. It's right here. So I want this teal for sure. That is Urchin. So that's Urchin right there. This one, because it's shimmer. And then also this one as well. Okay, so for my last shade, I don't know if I want one of the Raw Beauty Kristi ones or if I want to stick with the High Tides. So let's swatch. There's this one. There's this dark one. That's cute. And then this dark one. Ooh, that didn't swatch very good. I think I'm going to take this one because it's a dark shade. And it's not too, I don't know, I just like the vibe of that. It's a little grungier. So we'll go with that. Gray shade, I think I'm going to go back to Bare Necessities and pick up You Rock for the gray shade. And it's a little bit lighter. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get those labeled. And then we'll move into the olive drab green, which is my favorite color. I love wearing it. Next up is the green row, and I'm pretty sure I want this shadow right here, which is Fiddlehead by Colourpop. There's not really any shades like that in the palette, but I kind of am thinking that might be like a nice vibe. This shadow for sure as well. Float Your Crib. That's from the Child. Although those are very similar. Let me swatch them. Okay, this is from Raw Beauty Kristi. That is Fiddlehead, and this is Float Your Crib. Ooh, one is yellow based and one is gray based. I think I'm going to go with the yellow based one. Thinking maybe something dark like that. And that's actually down towards the bottom. This is Little Frog. That has glitter specks in it. I'm not really feeling it. Ooh, let's use this Super Shock shadow in place of that glitter. And this is Sipping Soup. So that's kind of cool. Super Shocks are kind of... Is this a Super Shock? Maybe it's not. Ooh, yeah, that's nice and textured. Let's do that. Here's a nice shimmery green. That's about all I've got for shimmery greens from Colourpop. I would have to go into another brand if I was going to do that. I also think that maybe adding something like this would be ideal for that row. Ooh, this one's kind of like a goldish green. And then this one also. So let's see here. Oh, that's pretty. That's like an antique greenish gold. I might do that. Or I could do this one, which is Right Hand Mondo. And that is kind of like a greenish undertone. Ooh, I think... Ooh, maybe I will do both of those. Yeah. And I'll move this over. And I'll just put both of these in. Like that. And that. Okay, so let's move on to the orange vibe row. Okay, this is going to be a fun row. I'm going to go ahead and slide this down to the neutrals. But I do want this to be like as orangey as possible. Not too peachy, more orangey. So I think I'm going to do Haute. That'll be a dark one. There's really no yellow, so I don't really need Chanterelle. But what about After Dusk? Is it very similar to Haute? Let me look. Oh yeah, those are very similar. I don't know if you can see that. I think I shall use this pale yellow. Let's use this golden shade right here. It's got a lot of texture. The Lust for Dusk doesn't have any glitters in it, but it's got this like kind of almost flaky, textured, coppery. I feel like that's fall, but yet grungy rainbow. So that's going in. Oh yeah, there's a dark copper at the very bottom. Q Editing Kendra, show off that dark copper. And I want to use this shade right here, which is Fuzzy. There we go. I want two more orangey shades. And then I think this one here is going to just be like a neutral olive shade. There we go. And it's kind of peachy, but it also brings that orange into it as well. I'm kind of feeling like Tease Me. I could use that. Yeah, let's do that one also. And then for the last shade, I kind of want it to be a segue into of like grungy olive shades. See anything? I think I'm gonna have to go with Puffball. Or do I want another shimmer? Let's do another shimmer. Let's do a heavier amount of shimmer. Ladies and gents, let's do a heavier amount of shimmer. Silk Teddy. But that's not really very... Oh, actually it kind of mimics that center shade. Yeah, let's do it. Come here, Silk Teddy. Yeah, let's do Silk Teddy. I think that looks really good. It's kind of an orangey, peachy row a little bit. Yeah, I'm liking that. Okay, so we have one row left. I would say these are all neutrals. They're all very much like, that's a blue-green, but that's a yellow-green, so that's kind of balancy. These are all, for the most part, neutral. That might be a little bit cool tone, but I feel like that's a warm tone, and then that's a neutral tone, so they kind of balance out. This is a duochrome. Kind of balances out, you know? So I think we've got like the perfect mixture of neutrals in here. We've got several duochromes. We've got that one, which I believe is Fairfax. We've got this one right here, which is from the Raw Beauty Kristi. And I've got this one here from the Child. I didn't realize it's kind of a duochrome when you start looking at it. I don't know if you can see it or not. But yeah, there's like a slight shiftiness to it. So it's almost like a duochrome as well. So we've got plenty of texture, plenty of shimmer. Okay, so I want it to be like cold. I want it to be all cool tones, or as much as possible in this row. So nothing is going to be outside of that realm. I'm thinking either cold-blooded or slated. Let's do slated. Oops. If I have enough room, I'll go back and put Cold-Blooded, but for now we're going to do Slated. Then I want Rock Steady. Then I'm thinking maybe an olive shade that's cool toned from The Child. Then thinking maybe going back to, I'm thinking I have enough from the teal, the High Tide, because if I take any more out, then I might as well just use that palette, if that makes any sense. That's Taupe. Let's go ahead and take out Cold-Blooded also. I feel like that would really go in. Last row ish. Oh, but it's also going to be combined with the purpley, I guess it's like a plum mauve, like plum into a peach. So if we grabbed a couple of plum shades, that wouldn't be a bad idea either. One of these shades from Lust for Dusk, either Mood Lighting or Shaken, because Shaken is got some texture to it, similar to that glitter that's in that row, that second row. So I'm gonna go ahead and do Shaken. Let's also do Mood Lighting because there is several shades that are pretty light, and I think that would vibe really well. I take that back. So instead of Mood Lighting, I feel like I want to represent that top corner up in the It's a Mood palette by substituting a shade from the Bare Necessities. So I'm going to go ahead and put Mood Lighting back, but I'll swatch the shadows right next to each other as soon as I find my magnet right here. And I'm going to go in with Idle Hour. So let's go ahead and see what Idle Hour versus Mood Lighting looks like. I just feel like Mood Lighting's a little too cool toned. Yeah, I think this is more of like a brow bone inner corner highlight, and I don't think I have too many of them unless they're on like the color side, like perhaps this one or this one could be, but I don't know if those would be considered inner corner highlights. And those four shadows in the top corner of It's a Mood, I think this one would represent it nicely. So I'm going to use from Bare Necessities the shade Idle Hour. So that's going to complete my palette, and here it is. This is my It's a Mood palette that I created to use using only Colourpop shadows that I already have in previous palettes. So there's some duochromes, there's a couple super shock shadows it looks like. I do have one pressed glitter. It's the only pressed glitter that I own. I'm not like 100% opposed to pressed glitter, but I also don't really ever use it because it just, I don't really like the environmental issue. I mean, like, it's easy for me to stay away from because it has some negative connotations to it, so I don't have any problem staying away from it. And then this shade right here I really appreciate as well. I probably could stand to maybe, you know, switch spots with another shade. And that is my It's a Mood palette. I hope you all enjoyed. If you're finding value in this content, as always, homework, make sure you subscribe to my channel and like it on your way out as well. That lets me know that you want to see more of this type of content. All right, you guys got to see how I picked out all the shadows, and it was really quite scientific, wasn't it? My son was a part of it, and he just kind of picked out whatever shadows he wanted, and then I just kind of added to it. So it really proved to be a wonderful experience, and I'm glad I got to sit down with my son and do a couple of shadows. I also do want to show you kind of the palette in action. I don't normally, and this isn't really a tutorial type of channel, but I did just kind of want to sit down with you guys, chit chat, and show you guys how I got this look. So check it out. Okay, so I thought I would sit down with you guys and actually do a little cutesy schmootsy look with this palette that I created. I kind of duped the vibes of the It's a Mood palette. This is going to help me get out of my comfort zone of using my Sydney Grace and Makeup Geek shadows and really start kind of getting into my Colourpop shadows because I kind of neglected them in recent years, months, weeks, whatever. Okay, so setting the lid, I'm going to set it with this shade right here. It came from the Bare Necessities palette. Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to do this with every single one, and it's called Hustler. Cheat tones, kind of like Peach Smoothie from Makeup Geek, if you have that shade, it's kind of like that. This is a Smith 235. Staying on that outer 2/3 and just kind of buffing into it. Setting the lid a little bit more. I did set it with my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish after I laid down some concealer. I usually use a primer But today I just felt like just bringing up my concealer all the way, so that's what I did. I usually don't do tutorials because I don't feel like, this is my take on tutorials, is yes, there's a tutorial for everybody out there for, you know, certain types of eye shapes and everything like that, but why sit and waste your life watching a tutorial? Just get out and do it, you know? That's the way I feel about it. But I understand that there's some people that they just, you know, they still need the lesson. And I forget that sometimes. So we've got that all set in. Same brush again. I want this to be neutral, but I want it to stand out as well. So let's dip into this shade right here in the corner. It's a nice brown shade, velveteen, and it's also from the Bare Necessities palette. I wonder if that's coincidental. It's probably not a coincidence that I'm pulling from Bare Necessities. I really like that palette. It's a nice, warm, and neutral palette, so that's probably not a coincidence. And I haven't really had a chance to, I guess I haven't really talked about why they're not really featured on my channel very much, and that is because they actually were in my kit that I used when I did makeup on others. So rather than constantly be sanitizing it before I, you know, went out into the field and did makeup, I would just keep those palettes in my kit, use them, and then I would just use my single eyeshadows. And so if I wanted something that was warm, I would just, you know, grab some Sydney gray shadows that were warm. So I never really got a chance to use it in the sense of use it on myself, but I really do like the Stone Cold Fox and the Bare Necessities palette, and I really like how they perform as well. I'm putting together some footage. I'm already starting to film for December when I do the 25 days of Christmas, because the 12 days of Christmas didn't go over well, so why not make it worse this year and do 25 days of Christmas? So that's what I'm doing, and so I got to start filming content now, and also because I need to start cleaning up and decluttering my kit, so I'm doing that. While I'm doing that, I'm going to be filming that, so I'll go over and kind of give you guys mini reviews, and then also show you like the decluttering process, because it's a kit, so there's going to be a lot of shades that, you know, from complexion products that I don't need because they are not going to fit my needs as, you know, as just a consumer. All right, that looks really, really nice. Let's get into some of these. I really want to use a duochrome on the lid. I have like 3 in here. So this one right here is, I actually think I labeled it incorrectly. Oops. Oh, it's called the Force. Yeah, I think that is correct. This is the Force. I'm going to go ahead and put that on the lid, but I'm going to use the Rephr 02 brush for that, and spritz my brush first with some setting spray, or, you know, MAC Fix Plus, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a setting spray. It's kind of a makeup refresher, and it's also a fixer, MAC Fix. So dipping into the Force, grab some on my brush here. Ooh, it's a little bit chunkier than that though. Ooh. Actually, on second thought, no, let me finish up. So I was going to use this Essence Healthy, the Essence of Healthy by Physicians Formula, but I think I'm going to stick with the MAC Fix. Look, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Come on. Stick it through, Candy. You can do it. Ooh. I loathe editing tutorials so much. I feel like there's nothing I can do to make it interesting for you when I'm doing a tutorial. It's a little more green than I wanted. It's nice. It's nice. Let's go with it. I thought it was a duochrome. I guess it is a duochrome, but it kind of reminds me of the Natasha Denona gold palette, that first shade. I forget what it's called. I don't own it. I wish. And that's what it reminds me of. This shadow right here reminds me of that. I'm not a tutorialist, but I do have a couple of my faithful subscribers that do like to watch tutorials, so I definitely want to make sure that I hit that note. Okay, let's go in. I know this is the shade from the Raw Beauty Kristi, and I know it's Amanita. Let me double check though. Let me make sure that I'm right. I'm good. that's it. That is the look. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, and let me know what previously owned palettes you own from Colourpop that might help you dupe the It's a Mood vibes. I know I was struggling really hard wanting this palette for a good solid like 3 or 4 days, and then they discounted the price of the palette, which made it even easier for me to want this palette and just go like $25. Oh man, that's great. And then I started to think about all of the Colourpop shadows that I already own, and a lot of times they get neglected and pushed to the back burner because I'm already using my Sydney Gray shadows, and if I'm not using my Sydney Grace or Divina shadows, which are my most expensive ones, then I'm usually dipping into my Makeup Geek shadows. So they get pushed back, way back. And this was an opportunity for me to go ahead and pull those forward, pick out some shadows that I really feel like I could use, and go ahead and, you know, find a nice palette that really fit me. I struggle a lot with using shadows that are teal in color because I have blue eyes, but I absolutely adore the teal color. So I really, I'm drawn to it, I'm attracted to it, but I just don't find myself using it. So this was a great way to put together a neutral palette, you know, made from the High Tides palette, and combine some of the other palettes that I've used, and to really get, you know, some inspiration drawn and a palette put together that I can use and enjoy on a daily basis. So if you guys enjoyed that content, make sure you give this a thumbs up on your way out. I can't wait to see you guys.